Hello and welcome watchers. My name is Spirit Lee and I would like to share with you my recent pastel rediscovery. Yes, you heard me right, pastels, those messy chalky sticks of colour. In this video, I will show you the very first time I used pastels to a recent rediscovery of the medium. I will show you the different brands I have used and what I think about them and what I have learned from them. I will share the tips and tricks that I have already discovered, along with my experience and experiments with soft pastels and the final results of those. And finally, I will do a step-by-step of my process to create a fully rendered architectural elevation. So if any of this piques your interest or you would like a soft introduction to using pastels, keep watching and join me on this rediscovery. I was once like many people who hated them and was put off using them. I only used them when I had to, i.e. when I was made to by the lovely teachers at art school. Here are the results. These were made when I was a wee 16-year-old, when I needed to create an art portfolio to go on and do a 3D design course. Because I came from a very academic background, i.e. maths, English, sciences, history, geography, I couldn't go straight into college to pursue art and design. I was expected to further my academic studies by various people, but I was bored titless with those subjects, and none of the courses at college interested me at all. I always had a hunger for more creative things, but was never allowed to pursue it academically for various reasons that fitted somebody else's narrative. So I went against everything and everyone and spent an extra year at art school doing an intermediate course to produce a portfolio for the professional 3D design course. I loved that year so much. I encountered materials and processes I'd never even heard of, and one of those was pastels. Following on from that course, I never used pastels again until a scroller box came through my mailbox in May, and they were filled with these messy little supplies. I'll just recap what we got. I'll leave a link in the cards if you want to watch the video of me unboxing and then producing something with these. So we got a grey paper, a putty medium rubber, a sharpener. This was a fully same length as this pencil, but it sort of, I've used it, I'll explain more about that, but it was a white pastel pencil, and this was also the same but sepia. A charcoal, and these were charcoal sticks. I'm not going to get those out just now because they are messy. A Splendor pen and basically two different types of erasers to draw with, erasing as opposed to draw with. So you lay down like a block of colour and then you draw in, erase away the picture. So that's what we got in the scroller box in May. Now I was really apprehensive about using these, but I did manage to create something. So from those supplies I created this little guy. I will leave a link in the cards if you want to see that video of how I created him, and the trials and tribulations that I discovered with the medium. But this little box, this helped me not to be afraid of the medium and gave me more, quite a bit more confidence going forward. I even enjoyed it in the end, to be honest with you. Then just 12 little days later, I received June's Art Snacks Plus box, which was filled with soft pastel goodies as well. I'll show you what I got in that box. just quickly. We got some black watercolor paper, which now I know there are pastel papers that you're supposed to use with pastels, and will make it much easier. We got some Rembrandt Deep Violet shades, a black brush pen, a blue metallic pencil, a sea green pastel chalk pencil, metallic pencil, and a mega color orange, which is just like a wax crayon, and a chamois, which, yeah, messy already. You use for blending and smudging away, but not. I don't recommend using it on the watercolor paper. It needs to be used on more of the pastel paper. The colors that I received dictated the art challenge, and I choose to do an elevation of the Chungha building designed by MVRDV. And this is what it turned out to be like, which when I first did it, I was actually quite impressed by myself. Apart from the metallic, I think everyone did a little bit with the metallics. But now looking back, knowing that what I've learned now, I can see a lot of the mistakes and things, but it was great for my first time sort of really trying to do something architectural with pastels. Just put in there. I thought the colours would be perfect for this. As soon as I finished, I knew I wanted to develop it further. And I found this such a joy to do. And a friend of mine also picked up on that. She sent me her unused scroller box from January, which the supplies that came with that was even more pastels. We got a bigger set of Rembrandt pastels in the desert palette, and 3 Benzyl pastel pencils with just such vibrant colors, and also some pastel actual proper paper, which is this stuff, which, can I show you on the camera? I don't know if it picks it up, but it's like a really, you probably can hear it. It's like sandpaper, but not as, like, it won't cut you or make your skin rough. But these are the colors that came in that box. As you can see, they're really vibrant. I got a cut. One of the purples was like a repeat from the one from Art Snacks, but that's fine. So she was kind enough to send me this box, as she hates pastels, so she knew she was never going to use them. I loved the Van Gogh paper from the Art Snacks box so much, but I knew I wanted to create a bigger elevation, so I ordered an A3 pad from Amazon. I'll just zoom out a little bit so you can see how big it is compared. Obviously it's double the size of A4, but I just love this paper so much, because on one side it's quite smooth, then you've got a pattern on the other side, but it's so thick as well. So good. I've used it with a little bit of gouache as well, and it works really, really nicely. Using these items and other items from the other box, I started to recreate the elevation, but couldn't quite get the color and the results I was after. The color for the light gray render wasn't right. I almost used all of the white pencil, which was this little fella. I used majority of him trying to get the right textured render, which was this one. I went over this about 2-3 times with this pencil, but I couldn't quite get the Rembrandts to layer on top of each other. They seem to just move each other or take the first layer off entirely. I went on then to try and do some other tests because I knew this wouldn't be the final product, so I just used it as a practice piece for whole different variances that I've done. So having done a few experiments on this piece, I decided to bite the bullet and actually go and buy some other pastel brands just to see if I have better luck. Plus, I definitely needed a new white anyway. So that's my justification for buying some new pastels. I'll just put these to the side for a moment. Put that up there. So the first new item I snapped up were these Caran d'Ache, which are covered in pastels. Pastel pencils, because they were on reduced, and I think they were on reduced just because they'd previously been opened and may have had broken leads. So I took a gamble because they were £18 on eBay for the 12 pencil set, but on Jackson's they're £37 for this set, so they are so expensive. So I decided to take the risk on eBay because just for me starting out and getting used to using them, I thought £18 for something that should be really expensive is not too bad. And honestly, I actually can't see anything wrong with them. I mean, the paperwork's in there. You also get a little bit of sandpaper. This is actual sandpaper. I think it's to sharpen the end of the tips to get a really fine point. The box is really well designed and spongy. You can see I've used the white, which, interesting thing with the white, I went over the sort of, it's now a yellowy because I tried going over with the Rembrandt Desert Yellow, wherever it's gone. Don't know where that's gone. Oh. Yeah, I tried going over with the lightest colour when I knew I didn't have any white left. But again, it just took it off. But I went over that maybe 3 times with the white pencil, and that's how much of the pencil I had left. Now, on the final elevation piece that I did, I used only the Caran d'Ache, and I went over it twice, and it only used that much of the pencil. So even though these pencils are expensive, I think the fact that they don't run down the way that the Rembrandt did, just sort of, it's a bit of a false economy. Like, yeah, spend a little bit more on this because it's going to last you longer than what this is. You'll end up having to buy maybe what? 1, 2, 3, 4 of these, which are about £2 each, but you can only buy them in a set. So you end up with the sepia as well, which you might not use as much. So 2, 4, 6, 8. £8, which you'd only pay £3 for this if you buy it open stock. So yes, Caran d'Ache are expensive, but they last a hell of a lot longer. And the other colours in these are so vibrant and nice and so creamy as well. I was really impressed by them. Now, the next item I got, I wasn't intending to get it. I was like, okay, I'm happy with just the Caran d'Ache. But when I realized that this is the only brand that does these, I just couldn't resist. And these are the Sennelier 24 soft pastel, extra soft pastels. And why I couldn't resist was because they are iridescent. No other brand does these, and I knew they would have a copper in there, and they do. I will one day get my copper obsession under control. Yes, they were expensive, £56 from Jackson's, but they are worth every penny, in my opinion. They are so creamy and pigmented. It is unbelievable. You get so much information, obviously, advertising the other brands and things that they do, but you also get a full colour chart of all of the pastels they do. I think they do 502 colours, which is just mental. And you can buy the iridescence open stock. You can buy them individually, so you don't have to spend £56 to get just one colour that you particularly like. They're really well packaged with a lot of foam. As you can tell with how messy this has already got. And of course, I've used the white. The white and the blue and the pink. But these colours are just gorgeous. I don't know if the camera's picking up the shininess of them. I don't know if it is or not. But they are super nice to work with. Plus, I figured the sheen that they give off would work well for the glass elements of the building. And I also got some fixative from the same brand because I figured it would help with layering up the pastels. So it fixes one layer and then you can work over the top, and it did work, so I'm happy about that. And then of course it'll stop things being so chalky and things when you handle them, and hopefully make your work last. The Caran d'Ache and the Sennelier are like the top level light fastness that you can get, so hopefully these things will last quite a while. That's what I wanted to show you. This is the sample sheet of all the colours. I've got them from both the boxes, the Caran d'Ache. So these colours are the Caran d'Ache. These are 6 Derwent pencils, pastel pencils I got as well, which I kind of like the pastel pencils. They're a lot cheaper than the Caran d'Ache, but the Caran d'Ache just feel nicer to use. And I do like the barrel of the pencil being the hexagonal shape, whereas the Derwent are just a round shape. And then I think you can see, yeah, you can see the shine of the Sennelier is better on a lighter piece. Then these were the Rembrandt half stick pastels that I got in the boxes, and then the Benzoyl ones. So that's all of the colours that I have. So I went back and did some more experiments. Like I experimented with using washi tape and masking things off. Do gradients. I can blend. This is one thing I do like about the pastels, is that you can blend so easily and get gradients so easily, and that's something that I have difficulty doing with other mediums. I can use masking fluid as well with this. It works quite well. You've just got to be, when you're blending with your finger or a brush or whatever you use to blend pastels with, you just got to be a little bit careful that you're not going to rub over the masking fluid. You can use ink over the top of the pastels. I did use the Sennelier iridescence under the Rembrandt violet, deep violets, but it took away the shine a little bit. But when you use them the other way, you put a layer of the Rembrandts and then the Sennelier over the top, they work a little bit better. So they create like a little base. I was also working to get a little bit more texture, but I'll talk about that a little bit further on in the video. So yeah, I just messed around with a lot of different things, mainly with washi tapes and how they worked and things, and to mask things off. So this is sort of like my sketchbook page, I suppose you would say, with all the different experiments that I did on there. that to the side for now. Once I finally got a grip on those materials and masking, I was able to produce a final elevation, which is this bad boy. I just put a layer of trace just to stop any remaining bits of dust, but as you can see, especially from the Art Snacks version, which is now under a pile of stuff, it is a much crisper, different colors, more defined, and just overall looks so much better. Comparing it to the Art Snacks, you can see the lines are much sharper and the colors make more sense. And the sheen, I think, makes a nice little touch. If you can see that, yeah, you can pick that up on the camera. Show it a little bit for the side camera. Now, me being me, I always take things too far, but I didn't want to ruin this particular piece. So I opened an Instagram poll and asked whether or not to bubble. Because on the actual building, you can see the texture on the windows and walls. I'll put images on the screen so you can see what I'm on about. So as you can see on the rendered side, it's not actually rendered, it's actually tiling. And it has this like bubbled sort of scaly texture to it. And they also mimic that with the windows as well. With the vote, 74% said nope, leave it as it is, as this final piece is. So I'm going to ask you guys to leave a comment whether you think I should or I shouldn't bubble. And if you want me to do, I will do another one with the bubble detail on. I could do it with pastel or try another way with ink or layer them or layer some film over the top. I don't know, but I will give it a go if you guys want to see that. On the back of the experiment sheets, I did try different inks and different pastel ways of doing it, but it didn't really show up very well, so I'm going to have to really think about how I would do that. But if it is something you guys want to see, then I will definitely do another piece, because I'm kind of curious myself to see how it would turn out. So now that you've seen the finished piece that I managed to produce, I want to do another one, but instead I love doing this elevation, so I'm going to do another, but from the direction of a street that runs down the side of the building. On the overlay image, that's the site plan, so you can see this road is this elevation. So on the next pastel, I'm going to do this elevation. So it will be the same techniques and materials, but a different drawing. Okay, so I start off by masking around the edges of the building. This helps to give a really crisp, sharp line, and also to protect the surrounding edges of the paper from any pastel dust or mistakes. I then started to fill in parts of the buildings that are set back from the front of the facade.
in a lighter tone of the white pastel pencil, but then realised I needed to mask off the windows as well. With masking off, I'm just using Scotch Magic Tape, as that's not too sticky, but a little bit more sticky than I find washi tape is. Sometimes it works on papers and sometimes it doesn't. This paper, it works really well. So it's just trial and error. Always test it out. Now that I've masked off the windows, I continue filling in the render of the building, starting with the furthest back, which will only take one, maybe two layers of white pencil. You can neaten up the edges of pastel really easily by just using any type of eraser. I'm just using a small one that's on top of a pencil as it's easier to control. I also use a hairdryer just to blow any dust away or bits from the eraser, especially before I use fixative, so therefore it doesn't get stuck onto the final drawing. I like to use fixative as I finish one section because it helps to keep that layer of pastel in place. Also, it really helps if you need to put another layer on top, it helps it stick better. Now I'm just filling in one part that is like the mid-tone sort of. It's slightly lighter than the ones that set further back, but it's still not the front facade, so it still won't be as bright as what the final front facade piece would be. I'm just now filling in the front facade render. This will take a few layers of pastel, and as I said before, I'll use fixative in between those layers to help the layers build up. I'm trying to get it as white as possible, which does take a little bit of time because I've used black paper. Now that I'm happy with the white render of the building, I can start and unpeel some of the windows and start filling in the colours for those. I'll mask off around the outer edge of the windows as well to stop the iridescent pastel going onto the white facade. I will just keep repeating this process until all of the windows are done. When masking off the outer side of the windows, don't press the tape too hard, otherwise it will lift the under layers of pastel off. Now I'm just going back in with the white pastel pencil and touching up some areas that either the tape has lifted off or some of the colour is overspilled slightly. This is the beauty of pastel, it's very easy to correct your mistakes. After I'm happy with the colour gradient on the windows, I spray more fixative, but then I also go in with the hairdryer and use the heat from the hairdryer to almost bake on the fixative, because it really makes the iridescent pastel stay in place. So I think it reacts well with the pigments that are in the Sennelier iridescent pastels. Whatever makes them iridescent, the sort of bake on effect hardens it so it doesn't smudge them at all. It's really good for that. I do this 2 or 3 times because it also helps the white pastel pencil to set as well. Here I'm just going in with some Liquitex acrylic ink in natural grey. I didn't want to use black because it'll be too in your face. I just wanted to use something very subtle, and it's just to outline the windows and also the frame, as well as some other little details that just help enforce the design. Again, I take my time with this so that I don't smudge any of the ink. As you can see at the end, I go over again with some white pastel just to cover any little overlines that I've made with the ink. And now for the best part of any sort of painting is the peeling of all of the masking tape to reveal that beautiful black paper underneath. Here are the two next to each other. I think they make a nice little set. I think I'll make these into prints, but I think I will have them professionally done, as I'm not sure how to go ahead with all of the black. I think my black ink might take quite a hit if I tried doing them myself. I hope you found this video useful and has maybe tempted you into giving pastels one more go, or even trying them out for the first time. If you do, please tag me in whatever you create. I would love to see what you guys create. Thank you so much for watching and getting this far. I really do appreciate it and hope you enjoyed it. So until next time, happy architecting.